away from you, but this is kind of what we do. Hi. And when she acknowledges us, we turn away, acknowledge that we saw her, and then we're gonna turn our energy away. Good girl. You see, she's keeping her focus on us, which is a big change in heart for her. Good girl. She's starting to express like a real interest in people. Even though she's still afraid a little bit, she's made a lot of progress in this regard. So I'll just try to talk to her and keep walking towards her. If she turns away, I'll turn away. Girl. Girl. Turn away again. Good girl.
Hi, sweets. How you doing? Do you come to say hi? Easy.
So see, now I can touch her without her like jumping so much. Good girl. She still has some trouble when you put the halter on because she still can't quite feel this side of her face, but she's becoming better about it. Especially if you start at her neck, which she is okay with, and you work your way down. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Okay. Then leading wise is what we're doing is just working on moving her feet. Good girl. And so if she stops or gets stuck, you need to remind her that you're the leader, she can trust you. Good girl. Come on. Good girl. Girl.
Hang on, kiddo. Good girl. We gotcha.
Come on, baby. Good girl. Good girl. Come. Good girl. Girl. Oh. Good job. So when she's trying to get in front of me, she's trying to like save. She's trying to save herself essentially. Like she's deciding that she wants to be in this quadrant where I am, and she wants to move my feet around, which I have to remind her, no, you can't be there, I'm gonna be here. So she's still learning to accept the leader, but again, you can't be too forceful or rough with her because then she goes back to just physically, strength-wise, like dominating the situation where she's just going to be in the front no matter what. Girl. Good girl. So I move her in circles a lot. Oh. Good girl. Nice. Just to keep her feet moving around. Girl. Oh. Good girl. Good girl. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey. Good girl. She's not too hard to handle. My other people handle her a little bit. She likes that eye rub. Got a lot of tension in there. Yeah. She still doesn't take treats out of your hand directly, but she will sniff your hand, and she'll take a carrot, like a little bit, out of your hand. That whenever we're leading her and she tries to go in front of you, we say no. In a quick, firm motion, but not like aggressive or forceful. And then you relax and pet her. Girl. Let's go eat some grass. Girl. Kind of like if you're riding and your horse starts to get quick, you half halt. That's kind of what I'm saying to her. You know, like when you're riding, you're always setting the rhythm and the pace, and that's how you have a harmonious connection. So for her, she has to understand that on the ground first before we can apply that in the saddle. And I haven't tried to saddle her a rider because she hasn't gotten that down pat yet, but she's getting better. And the fact that I can pet her and touch her and like move my hands over her, and you know, she still has some fear about it, but she's much better. And when I correct her, she doesn't freak out. She's more accepting of the correction. Whereas before she was like really strong and very hard to correct without her panicking and just running, using all her body strength to go past you. She doesn't quite, because she can't really see you down here. She's better about it, but not quite where we want her to be. Good girl. Good girl. And then I'm trying to get her starting to like walk with me. That time I didn't have to use pressure. Good girl. Good girl. There's a little lick and chew. Okay. Good girl. Oh. Oh. Always keeping myself in the front left quadrant. Even though she's blind on this side and it would be easier to work with her on the right side, also, like, in herd dynamics, horses lead each other from the left quadrant. So I'm not only establishing myself as the herd leader, which she can turn to for questions and trust, but also like working with the side of her that's going to be harder to work with down the road when someone else is handling her. Girl. Okay. Okay. Come on. Okay. Come on. Good girl. Up. 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 Good girl. And she still wants to look at me, but she's not like flipping around and turning right towards me, which she was doing before. Like she would stop and then spin around and look at me and kind of try to walk in my space. So now she understands, like, she has her space, I have mine. She can look at me, but her whole body can't be turned at me, like as if she's gonna take over the situation. Girl, and see, this is how we're getting her to relax, because now she's becoming aware that she doesn't have to be the herd leader, and she doesn't have to make all the decisions and all the rules all the time, and she can just kind of be a follower and relax a little bit. Good girl. Yeah. Come on. Come on. So again, she wants to suck back to that back right quadrant. I'm going to keep her right here on my shoulder. Okay. Good girl. Okay. When she gets a little quick, stop. I stay in my space with her. Girl. Okay. Okay. And then, there we go. Good girl. Oh. Oh. Good girl. Okay. Good girl. Oh. Oh. Good girl. Oh. 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 Good girl. And then we also can move her feet around a little bit, so I can ask her to move. Out. Good girl. Girl. Out. 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 That was really good. Even though she's very reactive, when I ask her to move around me, it helps her to, like, it's just because she still can't see here. She's not very sensitive, you know, like it's a shock when she feels me on this side mostly. Except for when I pet her, she's much better about that. Good girl. That's it. And then the more that I move her feet and establish myself in the first left quadrant of her as the leader, the more she wants to listen and trust me and respect me too. Walk on. Walk on. Walk on. Good. Good. Oh. Oh. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. She's starting to relax now. Like when the session began, she was like kind of weird about it, which she usually is, but she settles down and she's always a little bit better every time. See, she's starting to drop her head and like lick and chew and relax a little. You can see the look in her eye start to quiet down, and you can hear her breathing become more normal. So, you know, that's really all we're doing with her is just this kind of energy groundwork until she's all the time understands like where her place is and that she can relax in that place. And once she understands this, you know, we can start lunging her, but lunging will be a mess if we try right now, as you can see, because she's nervous about the groundwork. You know, she has to be fully trusting in me. Walk, stop, turn, you know, everything, pretty much without me having to touch her. But we're getting there. She's trying to leave the space. I'm just gonna take a minute and stand. See if she'll walk off with me. Walk on. Nope. Girl. Oh. That was really good. Now she's starting to get tired of it. Like, see, she's trying to leave the space. She's kind of like, she's relaxed a good bit, but we're starting to reach her limit. So I'm gonna put her back in her stall and do this with her again later. Because you don't want to overdo it. There's a lot of little things all the time. Good girl. So let's go back in your stall. Good girl. She tries to take over. Stop. Because she does feel safe in her stall, which is good. But we don't want her trying to run back to her safe place. She has to walk willingly with me. Good girl. Okay. So she took a step forward. I'm going to put her back in her quadrant. Good girl. Go forward. Ho. 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 Back. And when she goes back to her stall, she gets a little excited because she's got her hay and her space there. So, good girl. But before, when I would try to handle her and push her back like that, it was just a mess. She was very upset about it. So, again, it's all about her feeling like she's gonna die, you know, because you're invading her sense of herd mentality where she's her own leader, you know, so she's letting me lead her a little bit. And the cat loves it. All right, Tom, look out. Come on. Girl. Oh. 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 And back up a little more. Good girl. She should stand and allow us to wait. One more time. Well, you want to go back in. Good. Good. Good girl. Girl. She likes the other horses. Ready, friend? Okay. He's being dramatic. She's a good girl. She doesn't get mad at other horses. Good girl. Actually, Michelle Houdini got out the other day, and I was trying to find him, and I found him standing in her dry lot, touching noses with her. So, good girl. Okay, now that she's really relaxed, put her head down, and she's standing quiet, breathing normal. I'm gonna walk in. Girl. Good girl. Reward her for her working through some of that tension and uncertainty, and end the session on a good note.